Hi everyone, I'm DeFi Dad. This is episode 17 of Yield TV. Koopa Troopa, welcome to Yield TV, man. Good to see you.
So good to be here, man. Doing really well, man. Thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah, thanks for joining me. You've worked with so many different DeFi projects lately. I honestly didn't know what to label you as, but I did label you under Audius today. So we're going to get to talk about all the cool stuff you've worked on. I got to know Cooper through the Defiant originally, and I continue to be a humongous fan of what Cammy's created with the Defiant. And Cooper continues to write for the Defiant. I'm doing some content on the side with the Defiant as well. You should subscribe to the Defiant. But yeah, anyways, from there, I think like Cooper, you've been involved in a lot. So excited to talk about creator or personal tokens today. We'll also talk about Audius, of course. I think Audius is one of the most successful applications built on Ethereum that people don't know about because it just operates and people use it because it's very useful for listening to music. But at the same time, it's also powered by Ethereum. And yeah, I'd love to just get your general take on the DeFi markets and where we are right now. So one person just joined. So we have one person watching us, Cooper. So I hope you're not too nervous.
Nice, big crowd.
Yeah, we'll get more in here. But yeah, dude, how's everything going? I mean, what have you been focused on lately as the DeFi summer winds down and we move back to quality DeFi being built on Ethereum?
Yeah, I think it's strategic positioning, trying to look forward a little bit about what did we learn from DeFi summer? How can we sort of take these primitives and package them in new ways? I think very much a lot of this DeFi summer was a very small subset of people. It's my understanding and my belief that there's a much wider audience here to be targeted with these crypto primitives we're building. So how do I play a role in that, whether it's through education, building tools and helping projects build tools, or just doing whatever I can to sort of bring this awareness to a larger audience.
How about, Cooper, what do you think lately is, like, what do you think is a trend that's coming? There's been so much that happened over the summer with governance tokens. There's been a lot just in general with governance. There's been a lot with yield farming. I don't think of any other like major trends that we've seen. Like, what do you think is the next trend that we'll see in DeFi?
I think it's curation. I think that we saw sort of the start of this with yield farming and basically being able to pick different pools to put your capital in. But I think that now we're seeing an evolution of that where even if you have $10, you can go in and really learn a protocol very deeply and have income opportunities that are very specific to your knowledge, not necessarily your capital.
Well, can you talk to me then more about this curation? Like, I think I have a sense of what you mean. Like, when I think about curation, I think about, really what I've been focused on over the last year was trying to curate what you need to know about DeFi and like how it's growing and how to use it. I think about Bankless. I think about the Defiant. I think about DeFi Prime. So it's kind of like crypto media related outlets, or in our case, DeFi related. But when you talk about curation in this instance, are we thinking about do you have any examples, I guess, where like a token is used to curate?
Yeah, I would say the easiest example to wrap your head around is SourceCred, and basically the way it's being used in MakerDAO right now, where if you participate in the governance forum and your posts get a lot of likes, you can share an allocation of DAI split over the course of a month. So as an active contributor to MakerDAO, the more engaged you are in the community, the more you're aware of what's happening and the better conversations you present. There's a direct correlation to the amount of money that you can earn from that. I think DAI is obviously an easy example because it's a stable coin, but I think it becomes like exponentially more interesting when it's a governance token or there's some form of yield farming like aspects to that, where basically you're staking or signaling to different pieces of a protocol. And as that piece of the protocol does well, you sort of capture upside in tandem with it.
Interesting. Yeah. Any other like projects you'd recommend like looking into in terms of getting more acquainted with this like mechanism of curation that's powered by DeFi?
Yeah, so Nexus Mutual pooled staking is another great example of this. Basically, you can pick and choose which smart contracts you want to provide cover on. And there's a direct correlation between the amount of fees that a certain contract accrues based on people buying cover and sort of your return from that. So that's kind of a step in the right direction.
I wasn't even thinking of that. Yeah, because I always call it pooled staking, but really it's people putting their credibility on the line, literally their money on the line, to underwrite each one of those smart contracts as people are buying insurance against them. Dude, great example. That's, God, I'm trying to think, is there anything else that's really popular right now that like plays off this curation idea? Maybe I just wasn't thinking about it correctly. Like, in other words, curation, obviously it relates often back to staking. I'm trying to think like where else you stake. I mean, like, I guess like Augur deserves some credit. Like, I mean, that's the original, that's the OG of OG DeFi apps where your reputation, literally rep the token on the line. And I've never fully dug into like how it works, but my understanding is just that when a prediction market resolves, like people are putting up rep and someone has to like say this is the result, and then everyone has to agree, and somehow like your rep gets slashed if you're dishonest or something like that.
Yeah, so I'd say options platforms are kind of where I'm seeing this happening today. So like, for example, Hedgic, you're sort of curating different options and different put and call options. You can sort of post your Hedgic as collateral to not only underwrite these options, but collect trading fees and future issuance in the form of rewards. So there's quite a lot of projects that I've been seeing sort of under the hood that haven't gone live yet that have very specific curation mechanisms baked into them. And I fully believe that over the next couple of months, if you're an active participant in these new protocols, there's going to be a lot of value to be captured from just being a value-added contributor who knows what's going on and where value is being created.
Yeah. This is it's really interesting to me that like with DeFi, we're finding ways to use our own tools to reward those that are trying to build within the space. Like, I think this curation idea is really interesting. And then, I mean, if you think about Gitcoin, has always been one of those where I've been like so grateful that the tech that has actually been developed on Ethereum now enables us to distribute funds to open source teams that I think like in the legacy world really like at times would struggle to get funding, and Gitcoin has kind of solved quite a bit of that for us by using quadratic funding and Gitcoin grants.
Yeah, it makes it fun too. I think that's the super important part. Like when it comes to giving money to projects, the fact that your $1 turns into 100 is like literally the most addicting thing ever.
Dude, that's how I talk about it too. Yeah, it's addictive. It feels great. Like you watch your money multiply. And I think one of the best feelings is you're like, okay, I put in 100 DAI, and then you look and you realize it's with matching funds, it's hitting about, let's say 2,000 DAI. That's awesome. Now, and it's like, not because of the generosity of me as the donor. Like, well, I guess like, I deserve some credit if I put in 100 DAI, but the matching partners, this round was insane with all of the matching partners. I mean, people really gave back. Balancer, Synthetics, Robert Leshner, Mariano Conti. A lot of people gave back who had benefited from Gitcoin grants in the past, and that's a really that's why Ethereum kicks ass. That's why we're here.
Especially even like the Wi-Fi community too, right? We saw a lot of people that did well on that project giving back. And to me, that was a very clear turning point where it's no longer the ICO wars where a project raises 100 mil and the only money they give back is to bankroll someone to build on top of them. It's like very altruistic. Like, I don't know what's best for this space. I'm going to give Gitcoin matching pool funding, and whatever the community sees fit, that's where the funding's going to go.
Yeah. Definitely yet another thing to be bullish on Ethereum and everything happening with DeFi. Cooper, curious if you can talk to me more about your journey just in this space. Like, I feel like we kind of skipped the obvious here. One of the things that I was most interested in when I first started down the crypto rabbit hole was trying to learn from others that were working in the space. Like, what did they do to find a job? What did they do to acquire skill sets to work in this space? Anyways, talk to me about that from the beginning. Like, how did you discover crypto? And then, like, I guess when did you start writing? Because I've always known you to be like a prolific writer. You write like 5 articles a week across 5 different outlets.
Totally. So fun fact, my first intro to writing was through music journalism. I used to cover live events, festivals and concerts. Used to do
What?
interviews with a lot of artists. Yeah.
No
For in
way.
college, there was 2 years where I traveled the country just going to a bunch of electronic events, getting backstage passes and doing interviews with pretty big artists. It was super cool and kind of like helped me. Yeah, that was really easy writing. You're basically just saying this concert's going to be awesome. You should go check it out. And, that was kind of a stepping stone into being more curated in my writing.
Wait,
Got
what
into
sort of
crypto.
music did you end up? What sort of music were you covering at the time? Was it a wide range of it, and yeah, what did you cover?
Largely bass music. So like electronic music, Odessa, the Chainsmokers. That's like a very high level one, but I was super, super deep down the rabbit hole on the curation side of finding like the SoundCloud artist of, 2014 and 2015 and being like in their DMs when they only had like, 1,000 followers up to their journey to like 100K.
Dude, I was this morning, I don't know what came over me, but we used to play music like every morning with like our kids. Part of the reason is they're really young and they're definitely starting to get to like an age where they know that Disney Plus is
Right.
something they can turn on. And I don't know, you definitely feel like weird having even your young kids sit in front of a TV. So anyways, I put on some music. We used to go to music festivals before we had children. We've gone to a few since. It's definitely not the same with children at a music festival, but it just hit me. I was watching Lake Street Dive sing a cover of, I think it's called Walking on Glass. It's this like iconic, I think it's a 90s song. Like if you heard it, you would recognize it in a second. And so anyways, I was listening to it and it just like hit me. I was like, man, I miss concerts. I have been I've lived a pretty good life in quarantine. I feel fortunate to have a job that I can work from home. Like no complaints. But I mean, if we're talking about things I miss, I absolutely miss concerts more than anything. Like it's just, I'm like waiting for someone to, jump on me about like that being such a privileged thing to be worried about. But yeah, I miss concerts of all things. I like really can't wait to go to a live concert again. It's like it's one of the best experiences. I feel like it's something that like unites people no matter what you disagree on. So anyway, back to your journey though. So you're living the life in the music industry, writing about that. And when did you discover crypto? What year?
I want to say it was like late 2016. So I was a senior in college at the time. Basically was preparing to graduate, but not really loving the trajectory of the music business degree I was doing. It was very much encouraging like working for a tour management company or sort of becoming a cog in the machine, if I'm speaking frankly. And I had this class where a professor was introducing us to crypto and blockchain and the premise of smart contracts, just basically being able to automate royalty payments and figure out new and creative ways to get artists paid. And to me, that just immediately resonated with me. Started reading a ton of white papers pretty much that night. Luckily, that was a great time to be getting into the market. I think that both Bitcoin and Ether were pretty well positioned relative to what happened the next year. So as I sort of finished my college career, that was when crypto started to take off. And I just said, you know what, like, music is a passion and something that I'll always be passionate by, but it's not going to be the best thing to make a career off of, at least in the short term. I saw a ton of opportunity in crypto. So just full-fledged dove into it, started reaching out on angel lists to projects, asking to do community management, reading up on white papers and what was successful at the time, and then just helping teams better like identify their strategy and sort of their positioning in the market relative to what was going on.
Okay, and so we're talking about 2016, 2017. Are you buying crypto at this point in 2016, 2017? And what was the job that you found? Like, did you ever go work a non-crypto job again, or did you successfully find a job in the crypto space?
Successfully is an interesting word. I did find work in crypto. The degree to how successful that work was is to be discussed. Yeah. But yes, I was trading on the Bitrex days, just trying to keep up with the latest shitcoin, reading a ton of white papers, learning about the hottest ICOs, like ICO Bench and ICO Drops, like all those websites, just like religiously being on them and keeping up with the next projects. And granted, like it was hard not to do well as a trader then, so I don't think it was me being as skilled as I thought, but I'd like to say I got very familiar with, the ways that you got listed on these sites, sort of the ways that you got presented in front of audiences, how to do airdrops, bounty programs, all the stuff that worked back then. took my talents to AngelList, reached out to a few projects that had no clue what they were doing, and just came in to offer some sort of perspective as someone who had been on the other side of the equation and kind of knew what was going on.
Wow. And then wait, so how long did you work with these, it sounds like you were contracting with multiple teams back then. And when did you find your next gig then? Like what does 2018 look like for you as the market goes? Oh, is it going this way? Yep. There we go. My thing is backwards here. So yeah, it's a pretty depressing year for everyone. I mean, I don't know when you were entering the market, but I was joking with Mariano Conti yesterday, or maybe it was Lasse Clausen the other day. I'm like, in October and November 2017, the price of Ethereum or Ether was going up, and you like to wonder who was buying Ether at those prices.
It was you.
This guy was buying it. Yeah, I was, and I think it's so funny because I know now a lot of people that have been in the space longer, and I'm thinking like how euphoric they must have been, and like I'm on the other end of it, like, well, gee golly, I'm gonna buy some Ether at $500 and $700, and I definitely bought some Bitcoin at actually Bitcoin I averaged into pretty nicely around then. I somehow withheld myself from buying at 10,000 and above, but yeah. Anyways, that's all I have to share. I don't even have a follow-up question to it. I just think it's funny that I was helping people to pay for their yachts or whatever the hell all of the people were buying back then in 2017. Do you the next job you found in 2018?
That's a really interesting question. So my 2018 was spent traveling around Asia, going to about the worst crypto conferences you could ever imagine, doing literally anything, everything to get my foot in the door with people in the space. So, I'll be pretty honest that there was kind of two motivations. One was to do networking. The other one was to travel Asia outside of college. So I went to, 10 or 15 different countries around there, a bunch of random crypto events, and just sort of parading around and taking those learnings that I was hearing from people on the ground floor, and still sort of working with the projects, but more generally just trying to figure out what does this look like? I don't really like the caliber of the projects I'm working for. I think I have a lot of context here. What does that look like? And that sort of turned into more of a less of a community management role specifically for projects, and more of a consulting role where it was we have very clear action items here. Let's work on your token. Let's work on your marketing, and doing short 1 to 2 month sprints around trying to level up projects wherever I could find work, because obviously this is me out of college, not a lot under my belt. So those were some pretty trying times, but pretty interesting.
That's really cool. So you've definitely not worked a traditional job since college, traditional, as in you've been working on all these different crypto projects. Cause I've always known you as a freelancer, but I can see you increasingly working more and more with specific projects, and it's cool. It's I think it's a privilege to sit at a macro level at times, because at the macro level, there is so much happening. The hard work, I think, is getting into the weeds. I think you dig into any single project and they're working on such complicated problems. And so it's a privilege to remain up high, which I think is where my role is. So were any of those non-Ethereum projects? Did you work with non-Ethereum related projects back then? And I'm if you did, how did you find yourself working on Ethereum?
I did not, thankfully. I'd like to say I had a pretty good compass in terms of detecting.
Yes, check. Value. You're not going to be canceled. There we go. All you got to do is say you held some XRP, and we'd have to drop you from the show.
No, it was definitely a really even going to those conferences, man. When I went to these events in Asia, and there was all these other blockchains, people building on the EOSs of the world, it was just so apparent to me, where value is being created, and the caliber of the ETH Global, the ETH Denver events of the world relative to the Beyond the Blocks Asia events. I'm sorry if anyone listening to this is associated with those events, but it was just night and day in terms of people there to raise capital and just sort of parade around this crypto land, and then the ETH Denvers of the world where people were building cool and exciting stuff. And to me, just always trying to surround myself with that ladder, those builders, and the people who are here not to make a profit. It was just a very easy way to help navigate things.
So where were you then when we're in 2019? Like by 2019, the summer really starts to heat up for DeFi because Compound, I think, had about, I'm trying to remember the number. It was like, I think they had around 50 million in total value locked. DeFi Pulse had actually launched recently at that time. So total value locked was starting to become like a number that people were actually tracking. And Maker at that point actually had about 500 million. I mean, that was a crazy number still. So were you using any of the DeFi apps? Like, I guess what I'm wondering is like, when did the light bulb go off that it's like, whoa, like this is a killer use case of crypto. Like this is what's going to actually help Ethereum to like prove that the world computer can actually work.
Yeah, I can't say it was one specific protocol or moment. I just remember writing for my consulting blog about the proliferation of DeFi, talking about some of the early projects, recognizing that there was like a vibrant sector emerging of projects that were very well aligned. Like I said, none of these projects were selling tokens. They weren't doing ICOs. They were building genuinely cool and exciting protocols. And for me, as someone who's like a very Web3 native person, seeing the opportunity to sort of connect these dots to different projects and really just be on the forefront of what this sector looked like, it presented like a really nice opportunity for me to start writing for this blog called DeFi Rate, which at the time had no name, no brand. It was a fresh project. I got hired as a contractor just to start doing articles for them, and very quickly just evolved into this editorial role where it was like, every single day I'm going to write an article on DeFi. There's enough stuff here to write about that I'm always going to be the one who's first to write about it. I want to learn about it and then use my learnings to basically help other people learn about it as well. So that was like summer of 2019. And to answer your question more specifically, I remember very vividly shifting from going to the Beyond Blocks events of the world to just doing every Ethereum event that I could possibly do. So going to DevCon, for example, ETH San Francisco, ETH Denver, kind of continuing that path. There was like a very clear switch in my mind where it was just like any ETH event anywhere in the world, I'm there, like no doubt in my mind.
Very cool. Yeah, ETH Denver too. That's such a great event. I miss going to live events. I will look forward to us being able to all like see one another at live events eventually. But I gotta say, like, there's been a lot of opportunity like this just to talk virtually, and it's something else to be able to hang out, go to dinner, go out, grab drinks, like just connect with people in person. But we'll get there. We'll get a quarantine.
One quick anecdote I'll add in here, and the reason why I love these events is I remember being at ETHCC in Paris and staying with some of my friends at Metacartel. We went to dinner and the waiter asked us where we're from, and there was 12 people at the table and they're all from 12 different countries around the world. And to me, that was just so telling of like this space and like how beautiful it is.
Wait, so you were at ETHCC in Paris. Did you end up getting COVID? Like a lot of people got it from that event.
Yeah, I probably did. I didn't get tested, but I like to say I have the antibody now.
I probably did, but I got the antibodies now. That's great. Okay, let's talk about 2020 then. The thing that you've educated me the most on over the last year has been personal tokens, or I like to call them creator tokens, ever since I spoke with Marguerite just a few days ago, who goes by Coin Artist. So why do creator tokens matter? Like, why do we need them?
Yeah, it's a way to better engage your community and build true fans. Basically everywhere we look in the world, if you're an artist or you're a writer or whatnot, your largest source of income comes from the people that consume your content the most. And creator coins or social tokens are a direct way to link those fans across every single platform that there is.
And would you say, I think of Rack, aside from Marguerite's been very successful so far with it as well. I think that speaks to her reputation too. Like she's a great community builder. She's very engaging and has been working, on lots of cool ideas for the last few years, especially Neon District is a awesome game. I'm looking forward to playing. But Rack, I think Rack has set a new standard there. I mean, he really is. Can you explain to everyone, like, in case they're not familiar with this, like, how has Rack created a creator token? Like, how has he used NFTs and tokens to empower his community?
Yeah, so he did a launch with this project called Zora. They do limited edition goods. In the past, he had done this thing called Tape, which was a limited edition cassette tape, and sort of evolving onto this. I'll add context that Andre is the most knowledgeable musician I've ever worked with in terms of crypto. He just gets it like the back of his hand, and he has no doubt that this is the future. So with him, that conversation was, how do we engage my fans on Patreon, Twitch, and more generalized platforms? He's been doing a really great job of building a Discord, and naturally creating a social token for his community was just an extension to basically take that to the next level. So what that looked like is basically people who either redeemed tape, as you can see here, his Patreon subscribers, his Twitch subscribers, people who had bought his merchandise, they got retroactively airdrop tokens through Zora. So even if you've never used crypto before, you got an email link that says you have RSC to claim. You go in, you press a button, and you have it in your wallet. Once you had those tokens, there's sort of this educational step of getting them to withdraw MetaMask and get into a Discord channel, which is sort of the first stepping stone here. And now what we're working on is basically advancing that fan experience, tiering VIP access and basically making new and exciting ways for people to use these tokens to show that they are literally the top supporters of this growing community of really, really awesome and passionate fans.
Yeah. Do I have this correct here then, Cooper? I'm looking at it says we're announcing a distribution of RAC retroactively to, it was like 25,000 to everyone who was a Bandcamp supporter. That goes back to 2009. He rewarded Patreon supporters, those who bought RAC merch, which was only 219 people. It's pretty cool. I mean, it's a really, like, if you believe that creator tokens will be successful, and you believe that others will seek them out, I mean, what I just said there will lead to, a price. Like, people are going to be buying this token. So, I think it's exciting. Like anytime you can reward your community and this sort of stuff, like with what his name is, Andre, right? That's his real name. What Andre's done here, not Andre Crone. But I need to get a sound clip from the Defiant YouTube channel that Director Schmidt did.
I know what you're talking about.
Andre Crone. Every time I say Andre Crone. But what this Andre has done is it's remarkable. Okay, so what do you need to know about personal tokens or creator tokens that they don't already? Because that's another thing. Like, that's like basically what should everyone know about creator tokens in 2020 to be up to speed?
Yeah, there's never been a more exciting time to join a community. I think that everyone's using this bot called Collabland to basically join a token permission Discord or Telegram group. But for new people entering the space, I've never found a concept that's more easily explainable to someone who's never touched crypto before. So in the case of the REC token, I've spoken to at least 50 to 100 people who have never used MetaMask. They've never touched cryptocurrency. They've heard about Ethereum from a high level. And creator coins and community tokens are sort of the easiest way to get it into their hands. That discussion obviously has a long ways to go in terms of creating solid value capture mechanics. But I don't even really look at them as like there's protocol fees, there's governance, there's all this stuff. It's just like, no, like, this is a creator who has a following. We want to better align them and give them a better experience in this community. So we're giving them a token and then building tools around the way that they interact with that creator.
What do you think are some of the tools that are still needed for creator tokens to be successful? Because I know what you just mentioned has been my experience as well. Like, when you tell someone who like has a YouTube channel or makes music or even has like a trading group, like, or anyone that uses like Patreon, there's so many people out there who could say, I am a creator, and hence they could be empowered with a creator token. But yeah, what are the tools that we're missing in order for those creators to be able to like make use of that token?
Yeah, so two things. I think one is token permission anything gates. So right now we mentioned Telegram and Discord being the first one, but there is a world of content and services that can be gated behind token permission access. That tooling is being built today, but it is still very early. And then the second one I would say is just general navigation and strategy around things like liquidity, around fiat on-ramps, the wallet experience in general. We're slowly getting there, but there's a long ways to go in terms of, I have a debit card. I want to be a part of this community and get this coin so I can sort of make a transaction and have it in a mobile app where it's not 13-page guide to download MetaMask and add a custom token, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, makes sense. I know there's, I think we're seeing a lot more being built for these fiat to crypto on-ramps. Like Transact is one that I'm familiar with. It's global.to transak.com. That's one where you can use a credit card and go directly to crypto. Wire.com, Michael Dunworth's company, has been big into that. I think the off ramp is one of the harder places to work
Totally.
with. I mean, really, what you described is we have to kind of dummy proof everything. Like we can't be explaining, how to modify the gas price in MetaMask. And that's not a criticism of MetaMask. Like I need the gas price to modify. Like I don't want that to go away for me as a DeFi user, but for someone who simply wants to interact with social tokens, like or tokens, personal tokens, like you got to make it feel seamless. Kind of like I think Dharma and Argent as wallets are two of the easiest to use.
And I'd actually add in there really quick, a key learning that I had this week, specifically with RAC token, is people didn't have to buy that. They earned it for their past contributions to his community. And that premise of not requiring people to put fiat dollars into crypto to get started with a token is a really powerful thing that I don't think we've seen before. So I really like that as an experience.
It's definitely reminiscent of what happened with Wi-Fi. And I think like all of us have seen that those who earned Wi-Fi, those of us who earned it are, I want to say like much more chill and much more like engaged with the community. There's people who bought it and I don't know, they might be up a lot. Maybe they bought it at $1,000, but something about people buying a token versus earning it, you treat it very differently. Like it's weird too, because I found I'm more engaged with those communities, but I'm it's funny because you'd think if you had more exposure, you'd be more worried about the price. But yeah, I don't know. It just like I'll never think about the price of some tokens that I've earned versus the ones where I put in, dollars. I still there's definitely a few tokens, blue chip DeFi projects that I bought into, and I'll forever know the price I entered in at, and some of them I'm above and some of them I'm underwater, but hey, whatever, that's crypto.
You bring up a really interesting trend that goes back to our talk about curation at the start of the episode. So I'm a big fan of like issuance models now. I know inflation is like a very hot topic in the space, but we're seeing more of these systems where you earn the tokens for active contributions, and that issuance actually allows you to continually accrue power for the more active you are over the life of the project. This is very contrary to those 2 weeks where 90% of the supply is distributed. If you get in that 2 weeks, you're set for the whole project. Like I love this narrative of like, you have to be an active user of this protocol to keep your voice in it. Otherwise, those who are coming in and adding the most value are gonna kind of funnel you out for the ones who are participating the most.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm very bullish on creator tokens. And I feel confident saying that right now because I don't have exposure yet. And that leaves me in a place where like, I just fundamentally believe that they're going to work. And they already are working. I think Rack has set the standard. I think Marguerite's coin is going to be very successful. I definitely like in terms of speculation, I'm like, she just keeps producing content and applications. I mean, if you consider Neon District to me is just, it's going to be such an epic game when like you look at what they've built. Let's pivot though, because I want to make sure we cover Audius before I let you go today. And also, if you're comfortable, I'd love to have you even screen share. I don't know if you have Audius up on your browser, but yeah, tell everyone like what is Audius and how does it use Ethereum, and I guess where are you all in terms of the journey of building Audius today?
Yeah, so Audius is a decentralized streaming protocol. The way I like to think of it is a blockchain-based SoundCloud. Basically, everything we did is happening on-chain under the hood, but as a user, you never would know that you're using Ethereum. So I'll get my screen pulled up here in a second, just sort of walk people through it. The protocol has a ton of really awesome features, just like as a user that you would, really take for granted most times. So for example, there's high quality audio, there's remix contests, the ability to curate playlists and whatnot. And yeah, so let me get pulled up here. Does that look good to you, Travis?
While you're, here we go. Yes, it's up. Why does it, before you show more of this, why does it matter that it's a SoundCloud built on Ethereum? basically like what is the real empowerment of putting it onto Ethereum?
Basically, just so that the artists using it can own and operate the protocol. You know, we saw this period of 3 years on SoundCloud where artists built their entire career on the back of SoundCloud. They aggregated so much value to that platform, and the only people who captured that value were the founders and the company when they had their subsequent raises. So the way that we're designing Audius is, as this platform grows and becomes more valuable, the people who are going to capture that upside are the people creating the most value, not Audius as the company, because we happen to be the one that built it.
And what is the token for Audius again? Is it AUD?
It's called Audio Token.
Audio token. Well, I gotta say, like, it's funny. Like, I definitely felt like I've kind of kept a pulse on Audius. I didn't realize that there was a token. When was the token issued?
It's not live yet. Coming soon, TM. But I think you should keep a close eye on the project.
There we go. Cool. Okay. Oh, I feel better now. I was like, how did I miss that? Like,
you don't miss it, man. Trust me. There's going to be some exciting stuff coming up in the next couple weeks.
And what's the can you remind me, Cooper, what's the name of the founder of Audius? Ronil? Yeah, Ronil. Yeah. Man, that guy is I wish I could build a time machine and go back and invest in this, but I guess I'll have to participate in however the hell you earn this future token. This is a really cool app. I mean, just it's like you said, I have used this before, and I'm telling you, like, you don't know that you're using something powered by Ethereum, which I think is wonderful. You know, so anyway, yeah, walk us through this. How does it work?
Yeah, I mean, it's just the typical streaming protocol. You know, you go to a user's profile, you can play their tracks, you can curate content on it, repost, play it, upload tracks. You can have download gates enabled and everything. It's pretty much very similar to how you would use SoundCloud or Spotify today. You know, I'm very proud to say that we have a lot of really big names on the platform and more that are continually getting added here. And the one thing I do want to say on behalf of Ronil is, as I mentioned at the beginning of this podcast, I have been working in crypto for a very long time, and I intentionally have not joined a team before. But Ronil, Forrest, and the entire Audius team are so well versed in crypto and understand what's happening in such a way that I feel fully confident that this platform both adheres to the standards that the crypto DGen Audius has for the space, and is just, you know, doing it in such a way that we're going to be tapping into such a vast amount of new users that it's really, really inspiring to me in my background.
Dude, this is so, I haven't looked at it in a while. Like, man, it's the whole UX has changed a lot. And I didn't realize too that, so there's a mobile app and a desktop app.
Yep, that's correct.
Wow.
And really the thing that I'll call out here is the use case we're seeing be the most interesting now is artists uploading their full sets here. So you may have heard of Mixcloud in the past or something like that, but historically there's never been a good place to host long form audio. And we're seeing a lot of artists such as Vincent, which is this electronic artist I like a lot. He does a stream every Friday where he plays music for like an hour and a half. And he's now turned to Audius as the exclusive place for him to host all of these mixes. So you literally can't find these anywhere else on the internet. And in cases of like Vincent or Brownies and Lemonade, we're seeing a lot of success because this is where they can be streamed. And I'm very happy to say that we currently have about 750,000 monthly active users. And this is something that like we've been working really, really hard at. So let me see this real quick here. I'll show you a protocol dashboard.
750,000 users. And those, how do you count users? Is it like in this case, we don't have to worry about Ethereum wallets, right? Like we can just count them the old fashioned way, I guess, like because they actually have like an account or a profile.
Yeah, so every account on Audius comes with their own wallet. We basically abstracted away the whole flow of, you know, having to onboard with the wallet, sign up with MetaMask. There's an extension called Hedgehog that we built, which is an open source wallet. And under the hood, everyone has an Ethereum private key. But on the surface, they don't really know about that. And that's how we're able to track sort of their interactions on the platform.
Wow, very cool.
Yeah, and so this here is a new protocol dashboard that we launched last week. It'll be able to show you that those numbers I'm talking about are not a lie and that it's something that's actually growing to this date. And in the near future here, we're going to have some upgrades to this that are very exciting. So you can see here 766,000 monthly active users. This is kind of like plays and everything that we're seeing. And yeah, it's been really exciting, man. Like since I've joined this project, I've seen so much attention, not only from crypto audiences, but also just like all of these different music outlets and angles where it's like, this is not just a crypto project. This is making a lot of big waves outside of just crypto and something that I feel like is going to have a ton of impact in the coming months here.
Why do you think Audius has been successful? Because there have been other projects that have claimed that they're going to do this, right? I'm trying to think of like, I thought there was another project that sounded like audio something, but not Audius. Is there another one? Like any other competitors in crypto in general that are working on music?
I can't say today. So there's a project called Ujo Music that was founded out of Consensus. The guy who founded it, Jesse, he's awesome, a great friend of mine, and one that I would very much vouch for. I think to your point about why it's successful now is just sort of the approach of not taking blockchain into the conversation as a starting point. Most people don't know it's blockchain; they don't know they're using that. But once they're sort of in the platform and able to share this vision of a community-owned and operated protocol, we can sort of introduce things like earning tokens, remix gates, token permission access, creator tokens. All this sort of wonderful stuff can happen once you sort of are familiar with the product that you already know and love, which is in stark contrast to most DeFi protocols where you need MetaMask, you need Ether, you need to connect to your wallet, you need to deposit and approve a smart contract. No one ever sees or knows about that, and I think it's a very natural flow.
Yeah, that's the thing about Audius that's always been striking is it's next to impossible to tell that you're benefiting from Ethereum, but that's great because we don't need we don't need someone to have to go down the rabbit hole and like read the Ethereum white, yellow paper, whatever colored paper you want in order to use it. Anything else about Audius that folks should pay attention to? I guess like if you go to audius.co, which I had up here, you can use the app right in your browser, but so you can play music there, but you can also download the desktop app. What is the benefit of downloading the desktop app versus using it in like a browser?
Same thing as if you were to download the Telegram desktop app. I think it's just a little bit more convenient for people who are power users and want to sort of have it open at all times. Stuff loads a little bit faster. It's a little bit cleaner experience, I guess you could say. But for me, I honestly use more the browser than the desktop app. So you're definitely not really trading off much.
I'm interested I was like looking to see what other genres of music, like I think of like electronic music with Audius, but I'm curious, has the platform...
So there's a vibrant community of Thomas the Tank Engine producers, which is really, really funny. But they upload like trade noises and like all of this really weird stuff, but like they have thousands of followers.
That's hilarious. Yeah. This is cool. Yeah, I like, so I'm definitely more of like a indie rock person or indie rock fan. I do enjoy, I've been to, electronic music concerts, but this is really cool. I didn't realize all the music that was on here now, or just every time I've opened it up, there's just that much more. It looks like, how about rap though? It looks like there is a category here for that. So would you say electronic and rap are the two biggest categories of music on it?
Yeah, I'd say specifically electronic because of sort of the nature of remixes and long form audio. The reason why SoundCloud got so popular back in the day was because you could upload a remix of anyone, it would do really well, and you get a ton of traction from that. Audius is now a very awesome place to do that. We're seeing a lot of artists upload remixes to the site, long form audio, and basically just like, if you're not someone uploading to Spotify every 2 weeks, if you're a grassroots artist just getting off the ground, Audius is very friendly to like helping you discover your sound, helping you experiment with other artists. For example, I mentioned remix contests. So with Audius, you can go to a specific song, download the stems and submit it to a contest and have the artist natively select it through there, which is starkly different from on SoundCloud or any other streaming platform. You need to go to a third-party site, get the stems, send it to an email or something like that. Like, we really want to aggregate that whole creation and curation process natively into one streaming platform.
Cooper, do artists get paid now by Audius, or is there a way for them to get paid?
There's not royalties enabled today. We have future ambitions to enable microtransfers with stablecoins, but if I'm speaking honestly, it's not something that we're prioritizing as much as sort of getting this token out into the wild and letting artists earn in the form of earning audio tokens. I think for me, that's a much more powerful premise. And for anyone who's familiar with royalties or streaming, the rates that you see from that are so negligible that I think we really need to rework the ways in which artists get paid.
I mean, based on what we've seen with yield farming, I think that there's a sustainable mechanism that can work there. This is one great example. If Audius is successful, if the token can properly align artists and curators and listeners, and if the token can grow in price over time due to the success of the platform and the growth of the platform and everyone's efforts, this is cool. Like, this is really cool. A year ago, if you would have shown me this and said, I think that we could potentially empower artists with a token, I probably would have said, like, are you kidding me? Like, we've been through this before. Like, tokens just really don't seem to work very well. The only tokens that work are the big native tokens of like Ether and Bitcoin. But no, things have changed. The UX has gotten so much better, and now I'm using so many different applications. I use more applications that are built on Ethereum than I do that are like Web 2 centralized, like SaaS type applications. Cooper, anything else people should know about Audius, and is there any timeline for the token to launch? Any public?
I would say just keep an eye on the platform over the next couple weeks. I don't want to spill the beans too much here, but I think by the end of the month we'll have some pretty exciting news to look forward to. I'd say if you're not using Audius so far today, I'd highly recommend signing up. You don't need to be an artist that uploads a ton of tracks. The way we're designing this protocol, I mentioned issuance in the past. If you're an active user of Audius, there's going to be ways to earn audio tokens for being a curator, a fan, or an artist. And this is very much intentional. So it's not capital centric. You don't lock your ether in and just mine, audio for doing nothing. Like, you need to actually go out of your way and engage with this platform to earn a voice in what we're building here.
Cooper, I was just looking at the sign up here. It says that I can sign up with MetaMask, but it doesn't recommend it. Why does it not recommend signing up with MetaMask?
So we built our own native wallet. That's an email and password login system. For MetaMask, you have to connect to POA network, which is the layer 2 solution we're using to deal with all the transactions that we're getting, quite frankly. And so if you set up an RPC and basically switch to another network, we do all that natively for you through the wallet that we've built.
Interesting. Okay, cool. So I do have the option to not share an email, but if I do that, I will have to do it through POA network, which, if I'm looking at the MetaMask, that's one I'll have to add under the custom RPC option there for the POA network.
Yeah, and it's actually funny because if you want to connect with MetaMask, it's this flippant experience where you have to go out of your way to sign up with MetaMask, as opposed to the other, where basically everything is MetaMask, and to do Taurus or something, it's a huge pitch. But we've designed this in such a way that it's encouraged to use email and password. When the token goes live, you'll have your wallet natively baked into your profile. We're doing a lot of stuff on the front of usability and scalability that I think people will be very impressed by.
This is really cool. I just added my own profile here too, so it should be up here in a second. But yeah, this is great. I had never actually. God, I gotta get an authentication code. Okay, never mind. I'll just do this after we're done. Hey man, thanks so much for joining. Then I'm thinking, is there any general DeFi news just to let people know about over the last day or two? The one thing I was going to call out is that the Quenta.io derivatives exchange launched. Which, Cooper, do you know, is this Synthetics exchange just rebuilt, or is this? Will Synthetics.exchange continue to exist with Quenta.io? I was kind of confused about that.
It's my understanding it's the latter. I think it's been very apparent that Synthetics Exchange is looking to build on layer 2. They're sort of in this beta phase where it's just humanly not possible to do that at this point in time. So I see this sort of Quenta thing as a intermediate stepping stone where it's an optimized version of Synthetics Exchange up until the Optimism-enabled layer 2 product is live that people can use on mainnet.
Okay, got it. And the new, that's Synthetics.exchange, which is what I've always used to trade synths. That exchange is the one that will be built on optimistic Ethereum, which means that we'll be doing transactions in a few hundred milliseconds. It means that you'll be paying a fraction of a cent per transaction in gas costs. But this Quenta exchange, Quenta.io, if anyone wants to check it out, Quenta.io/exchange, connect your wallet, and you can trade between any of the synths that are listed on any of the synths that are listed here. There's cryptocurrencies that aren't even on Ethereum you can gain exposure to. Forex, like you can see there's the euro and the Australian dollar. No equities yet, but this is exciting. Synthetics will be, they've got some indices or an index. And then there's commodities as well, like gold and silver.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's a nice stepping stone. I mean, the branding alone for Quenta has been what I've been most impressed by. It just feels like a really nice and sleek product. And I can't speak exactly to what that interplay is when Synthetics Exchange is working on optimism, but I know that there's been a lot of resources invested into this project, and one that's definitely worth keeping an eye on.
Yeah, I had that. Yeah, it's funny. I saw this announced a while ago. And I had no idea. I guess I'll have to look into it more. But yeah, worth checking out. Usual thing, just connect to your Ethereum wallet. And as far as I can tell, almost all of the synths that trade on synthetics.exchange are here. But yeah, it's a slicker interface. Another thing too is if you need, in order to trade on this, you need synthetic US dollar or synthetic Ether really to get started. And if you need that, they have a slick sort of workflow. So it'll push you over to just exchanging Ether for synthetic Ether, which is normally almost 1-to-1 exactly.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I think that's about everything for today. So tomorrow we will not be having a Yield TV. I'm going to spend some time with my wife, who I don't spend enough time with. So no Yield TV for tomorrow, but we will be back next week. And I believe, I think Arthur Chung, I think that's the right way to pronounce his name, Arthur 0x, will be interviewing with us next week. We might have Michael Dunworth as well from Wire. We'll see. But yeah, Cooper, I'm going to play that really loud video. So if you do stay on, I can talk to you for a few more minutes, but I'll then end the broadcast. And for anyone out there that's interested, please try Zapper at Zapper.fi. If you're looking to track your on-chain portfolio, you can zap into LPs and Y vaults by using Zapper.fi/invest. And then the exchange feature allows you to swap for the best rate and the least amount of slippage across Uniswap and Balancer. But yeah, other than that, dude, great another week in DeFi here. So thanks everyone for watching, and we will see you Monday.